On this episode of the NESN Patriots Podcast, we give our thoughts on the Patriots releasing Jack Jones midway through his second season. We recap the disastrous loss against the Indianapolis Colts, talk about Mac Jones, is he finally done as the Patriots quarterback, and we break down their ongoing draft situation. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NESN Patriots Podcast, take 2 of the NESN Patriots Podcast. We recorded what we felt was a really good one yesterday, and then Zach, there's no way around it, bungled the recording process, so we should give him the Game of Thrones shame treatment.
I was literally just going to say, I'm in an Airbnb in Copenhagen right now. I just scoured it to try to find a bell so I could literally do a shame bell on myself. It was bad. It was a good episode. It was like 45 minutes long. We broke down everything from the game on Sunday, all the kind of storylines around the quarterbacks and Bill Belichick's job security. And then it just disappeared into the ether of the internet. But now we get to talk about the Patriots releasing Jack Jones. Yeah. That wouldn't have been covered in our previous episode. So tiniest of silver linings for the gigantic waste of time that we had yesterday.
Yeah, the bad news is listeners are getting, without doubt, an inferior product, as I think both of us are quite tired. I just basically rolled out of bed. But the good news is we have more to talk about. As you mentioned, Jack Jones, that was the big news yesterday. He was waived by the Patriots. A chance he returns to the practice squad if he clears waivers, but I would assume that the team would rather go in a different direction. In the statement yesterday from his agent, Jamal Tucson, who basically said Jack looks forward to the opportunity with his next team as soon as Sunday, sort of tells me that both sides probably are ready to move on. There's not too much to say about this because it's really not surprising in that, this is a player who, since he got here, he had a suspension, 2 IR stints, a weapons-related arrest, missed curfew, got benched. Kind of a turbulent, brief career for Jack Jones that now is over.
Yeah, it's really not a surprise just with that whole resume that you just laid out. Jack Jones is a player who at times last year, especially early last year, looked like a potential future Pro Bowler. He has a ton of talent. Based just on talent alone, he probably would have been an early round draft pick in last year's draft. But the off the field issues, the disciplinary issues have really followed him just at every stop that he's been really since high school. I mean, he got suspended or ran into some legal trouble at all 3 of the colleges that he went to. There was an arrest in college, and then all of those factors that you just mentioned in the year and a half since he joined the Patriots. I think it just sort of reached a breaking point, coupled with the fact that his performance on the field didn't really justify keeping him around with all of the kind of periphery issues happening. I mean, the last time he saw a full extended workload was in that Dolphins game, and he didn't play especially well in that game. Only played 10 snaps against the Colts the other day in Germany. And just his behavior on the sideline in the last 2 games was just really odd. You saw him sitting on the bench away from his teammates, looking really just disengaged and not locked into the level that the Patriots expected him to be. Now it's over a year and a half into his career. Last year's Patriots draft class is just looking like an abject disaster, really from top to bottom. He's now the 6th member of that 10-man draft class to either be cut or traded by the Patriots. And we're not even through the second year of those guys' NFL careers. Yeah,
not good. And the other thing too is just, it's a real bummer for, that cornerback room because, I go in training camp and we all looked at it as, if they hit on Christian Gonzalez, if he turns into a good player, and he turned out to be much better than that. He turned out to look like a number 1 corner right away. I mean, the ceiling for that cornerback group was really high with, ideally, if you removed all the off-field sort of noise, you could have Christian Gonzalez on one side, Jack Jones on the other side. That's a really good young 1-2 punch. Then you have Jonathan Jones, sort of the veteran glue, moving back to the slot where he's best. You have depth with Marcus Jones, who seemed like an ascending talent. And then Miles Bryant being kind of the Swiss Army knife depth at the position. A really good blend of young and old. But now Marcus Jones on IR, Jack Jones waived, Christian Gonzalez also on IR. Jonathan Jones has battled injuries. So that's another huge sidebar to this Patriots season where, there are a lot of reasons why this thing has gone off the rails. but I think, the way things have sort of collapsed at the cornerback position is a huge part of that. And the only other thing I would add on Jack Jones is just that, I think it's interesting that, to me, this is, an example of Bill Belichick, despite all that's gone on this year, his, maybe losing grip on his team, maybe losing grip on his job, still flexing that, there's a culture that we're going to maintain here, and I'm not going to go out letting, the standard of professionalism that I set sort of go out the window. I'm still, you could argue the Patriots should have made this decision on Jack Jones a while ago, but regardless, they're making it now. It'll be interesting to see if JC Jackson still is around. So it looks like Bill Belichick still, despite everything going on, has an expectation and a standard that he wants to be met, and wants to do at least all he can to keep that culture in place.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to mention. It's going to be interesting to see what the next step here is with Jackson, because his initial punishment was even more severe than Jack Jones, even though I guess maybe not his initial punishment, because he did play more in the Washington game than Jones did, but Patriots didn't even bring him to Germany, basically told him to stay away from the team for a week plus. We talked to Bill Belichick a couple of days ago, and he says he expects Jackson to be back with the team either this week or after the bye. He wasn't exactly clear on that, but with everything that's gone on with Jackson over the last year or two, between his time here and his time with the Chargers, including, according to a report, just not showing up to the team hotel before the Commanders game 2 weeks ago. It's going to be very interesting whether Bill Belichick tries to kind of keep him around and give him another shot here, because he's also a player who hasn't played especially well on the field lately. So yeah, that's going to be one of many fascinating storylines as the Patriots come out of the bye here.
Yeah. And credit where it's due. I think Shaun Wade has been better than expected since coming in. I'm not saying he's played well. Yeah, I'm not saying he's the future of the position for them, but I think he's done a good job, as good as you could hope for, given what he's done in the past. Worth noting, too, that the Patriots filled Jack Jones' spot on the roster by claiming running back JaMycal Hasty, who I know you wrote about this, Zach. He had a good game against the Patriots in 2020, I think, with the Niners. We'll see what he can provide, but it seems like, more than anything, he's had some decent production as a receiver out of the backfield. The Patriots haven't gotten anything out of Ty Montgomery this year. Ramondre Stevenson, despite having a lot of catches, still doesn't play like a pass catching back, and he's pretty awkward in the flat whenever he goes out there. Maybe Hasty can give the Patriots something in that area. Yeah,
Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott, they're both 3-down backs. They both can play on 3 downs. They both can kind of contribute in the passing game. But yeah, the Patriots haven't had that kind of stereotypical 3rd down back on their roster this season. That's what they thought Ty Montgomery was going to be last year. It actually is what he was last year before he got hurt. Hasn't really filled that role at all. I don't think he's touched the ball outside of kickoff returns in about a month. He's only played about 30 offensive snaps this season. Hasty's been basically a 4th or 5th running back for his entire career. He didn't play at all, essentially, for the Jaguars this season before he was released. So we'll see if he can provide anything, but there is a spot for somebody to come in and contribute in that role as that kind of shifty pass catcher type. So we'll see what they can get from Hasty when he gets on the field.
Yeah, and again, he really didn't play it off with the Jaguars before being released, which probably tells you all you need to know. But regardless, you never know with running backs. Sometimes you can bring a guy in off the scrap heap and they turn into a real contributor, not just in that season, but in the seasons ahead. And the Patriots, where they are right now, it makes sense to bring in that kind of player for an audition. I feel like it's a long shot. Ezekiel Elliott is back next year. Given Ramondre Stevenson's contract situation, he's up for the extension this offseason. Who knows if that results in him looking for a trade, whatever. You never know how that's going to go with running backs. So I don't think it's a bad idea for the Patriots to bring in bodies, see if they can maybe find a diamond in the rough for the future of the position. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, quick note there on Stevenson's potential future contract. I looked it up the other day. There's only one running back in the entire Bill Belichick era who the Patriots have drafted and then re-signed, and that's James White. They did re-sign Kevin Falk, but he was drafted before Bill Belichick arrived. So yeah, Damian Harris didn't get that. Stephen Ridley didn't get that. Shane Vereen, any of those players before him. So it would be precedent breaking if they did re-sign Ramondre Stevenson. So we will see how much longer he is a Patriot here.
Yeah. It would be a sort of new precedent. On the other side of that, I think you could probably easily argue he's the best or most talented sort of long-term Patriots running back drafted since Curtis Martin. And I can't really think of anybody else that I would put over him off the top of my head. So, if anybody sort of deserves that, you'd think it would be him. Bill Belichick's a big fan of his. Was he going to be around to make that decision this offseason? Those are all questions that'll be answered at a later date. But, I know we touched all this yesterday, and now it's kind of out in the ether, maybe to be found in a picture by the James Webb Telescope. But, I think we should still at least touch on the game on Sunday with the Patriots losing 10-6 to the Indianapolis Colts in Frankfurt, Germany, where Zach was at. I was not. Zach was unfortunately subject to middling press box food. That's too bad, but it sounds like the atmosphere in Germany was really great from everything you've said, Zach. But the game, on the other hand, was not. Patriots don't score a touchdown. Mac Jones throws a brutal late game interception, gets benched. Bailey Zappe gets the final look on the final drive, throws an equally embarrassing interception on the fake spike. This was just a bad game all around. And I think the top storyline coming out of it, with Bill Belichick seemingly holding on to his job, is that Mac Jones probably is done as the Patriots starting quarterback. But I know again, we touched on this yesterday, Zach, but just in your opinion, do you think Mac Jones should start another game for the Patriots?
I don't. I don't think he should. I mean, who knows what happens over the final 7 weeks of the season? Maybe they try some of their backup options and they're just complete and abject disasters. And they're like, all right, we need to put Mac Jones back in there. But I just think with the circumstances of how this latest benching came, with the situation in the game, the time of the game, this was different from his first two. His first two benchings were in 30-point losses with the game already decided. Whoever came in for him wasn't going to make any difference in that game's result. This benching came with 2 minutes remaining in a one-score game against a mediocre, very beatable team. And it was after the Patriots had already driven into the red zone 4 times previously in the game, including on each of their last 3 drives. So it's not like the offense wasn't moving the ball. This was Bill Belichick just saying, we have a chance for a game-winning drive here, and I do not trust Mac Jones to get that job done for this team. I think that is basically the biggest indictment you can have on a player, especially a quarterback, when you say, hey, our starting quarterback is not our best option for this final drive of a game that our owner so badly wants to win. And I don't think you can rehabilitate that even in a bye week like this, where the Patriots don't play for another 2 weeks. Patriots don't have many good quarterback options. We've talked about that all season. If they did, Mac Jones probably would have been benched several weeks ago. We'll see if Bailey Zappe gets a shot. As you mentioned, he did not play well in this game. He has not played well all season. He did not play well in the summer. Will Grier, the third stringer, has not played at all in a regular season since 2019. And I don't think either of us think Malik Cunningham is ready to step in and be the Patriots starting quarterback. So we'll see how they handle it this week and next week. But I just think with the whole body of work leading up to it and the timing of this benching, I don't think you can start Mac Jones against the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're right. I kind of go back to, it depends on what the goal is. If the goal is still to try and win games and not signal to the locker room that you've given up, I still would just start Mac Jones. Again, I think he's done. I think he's completely shot. His confidence is gone. And he just needs to go somewhere else and get a fresh start. However, the Patriots know what they have in Bailey Zappe, I think, which is borderline backup, maybe a third stringer. And we know what we have in Will Grier, which is nothing. Despite all that sort of talk a few weeks back about the Patriots are interested in Will Grier internally, like what they've seen, he's still been the emergency third quarterback, and we've never seen him even throw a pass to the Patriots. So I don't think there's any chance of those guys being the starting quarterback next season. Mac Jones, I don't think there really is a chance of him being one either, but there maybe still is like a 2% chance. And you never know, maybe he somehow turns it around over the rest of the season, at least to the point where you feel somewhat comfortable bringing him back next year as sort of the bridge quarterback if there's a rookie behind him. That's the only real case that I can make. It also, again, depends on what the goal is. If they want to win games, I think it's probably Mac Jones. But if the goal is to tank for a draft pick, which the Patriots probably never would admit it, I don't think Bill Belichick would go for it. However, we'll talk about the draft here before we wrap up. It might all come down to that game after the bye against the Giants. If the Patriots win that, I don't know if the Giants lose or win another game. It's going to be really hard for them to finish in the top 3. I mean, they might finish in the top 3 anyway, depending on what the Cardinals do. But regardless, if they lose to the Giants, they would have a real inside track at getting in those top 2 picks, which would, of course, set them up to get Caleb Williams or Drake May. That is huge. And it is such a huge franchise-altering variable that I can't discount the possibility of the Patriots being like, not only do we have a great excuse to start Bailey Zappe in this game, but we also kind of want to start him because it would help us lose that game. So I would not be surprised if that's part of the calculus behind the scenes.
And I think the biggest variable too, when you talk about this Patriots draft positioning, which really is going to be the number one kind of story, or maybe not the number one storyline, but the kind of goal for this team, the end point of this season. We're so used to doing the playoff projections and, here they have the number 2 seed as you go into week 14. It's the complete opposite now. Everybody's scouring tankathon and you're just trying to see how high of a draft pick they're going to get. The biggest variable in all that, though, is we don't know if Bill Belichick will be back next season. We don't know if Bill Belichick expects to be back next season. And if he doesn't, if he thinks that this is going to be his last year with the Patriots, is he going to be inclined to want to lose more games now and set the team up for a higher draft pick when he is potentially not going to be even around to make that draft pick? And from everything we've heard, he still wants to coach. He still wants to chase Don Shula's record. Is he going to pass up an opportunity to maybe win, 2, 3, 4 more games down the stretch and get a little bit closer to that, even if it means sacrificing some kind of Patriots future considerations and making them get the 7th overall pick instead of the 2nd overall pick? I guess that probably plays into the Mac Jones starting debate as well. If you still think that the team is better off and better positioned to win with Jones in there than with Zappe or Greer or anybody else. But yeah, I think that's the most fascinating angle with this whole thing, because I don't think tanking is in Bill Belichick's DNA regardless, but especially if he wouldn't even be around to reap the benefits of a potential tank, is he going to make any kind of decisions that would lead the Patriots on that path?
Right. Yeah. And, tinfoil hat stuff. Maybe Robert Kraft comes to him this week and says, do it, because we need to lose that game, and Bill resigns. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. If it would happen, it would happen in 15 minutes. And that we have a Zoom call or WebEx call with Bill soon. But on that topic, I know this has been a big topic of conversation. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I don't want to spend much time on it, but given the fact that Belichick spoke with reporters and did his WEI appearance yesterday, he's speaking with reporters today. All the sort of peripheral reporting on this issue does not seem like he's going to be fired midseason. And if he does not get fired or resign during the bye week, I think it would be very safe to say that he will stay here for the rest of the season, as I think he should. I think that's you just do the mutual parting of ways if you're going to do it in the offseason. But that seems to be the track that we're on right now. Real quick, Zach, I want to just quickly go over our 2 up and 2 down from the game, lightning version of it. I'll start my 2 up. I'll do all of them all at once, actually. My 2 ups, the running backs and the run defense. I thought Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott were excellent in this game. They combined for 33 carries for, I think, 142 yards. That's quick math. But regardless, especially in the second half, they really ran hard and with a sense of purpose. I thought it was interesting that after the game, Ezekiel Elliott said that the Patriots need to run the ball more, kind of comments you don't normally hear from a player on a Belichick team. But he probably is right, because that's the strength of the team, and him and Stevenson both showed it in this game. And then the run defense, I think Jonathan Taylor, I believe, had 9 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown on the first drive, but just 14 for 38 for a 2.7-yard average the rest of the way. That game could have gotten out of hand if Taylor in the Colts running game sort of, found traction and kept it going the rest of the way. Patriots run front 7 really locked that down and gave the team a chance to win a game that it should have won. The offense just couldn't keep up its end of the bargain. Real quick, my 2 down, Juju Smith-Schuster, just 1 catch for 9 yards. It was a nice catch, but 2 procedural penalties before the snap. Just, can't have it, obviously. I don't know how that happens. Patriots have a huge issue with that in their receivers. I will say, it seems like a lot of teams have had an uptick in those penalties this year. I don't know what the reason is, but regardless, those were 2 bad penalties from Juju. And then the special teams, we say it every week. You can bank on multiple bad plays from them. You got 5 this week. You got the 41-yard kickoff return allowed. You got 2 touchbacks from Bryce Behringer, a missed 35-yard field goal from Chad Ryland, and then the all-out, selling all out to block the punt and not putting a returner back, and then it backfired and rolled all the way down to like the other 20-yard line, squandering a chance for the Patriots to get good field position. So more special teams ineptitude, more pre-snap penalties from receivers. But again, I think both of us had Mac Jones as our top down in this game, but since we just talked about him, I'm going with Juju in the special teams.
Yeah, I would put Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe both in that down column. But since we did already talk about them, we'll go in a different direction here. For my 2 up, I had Demario Douglas. Best game of his career from a statistical perspective, 6 catches, 84 yards. He's really been the Patriots' only viable pass catcher ever since Kendrick Bourne went down. I looked it up this morning. In the 2 games since Kendrick Bourne was lost for the season, Demario Douglas has 11 catches for 139 yards. Every other Patriots wideout combined has 10 catches for 89 yards. It's just a extraordinarily top-heavy position group at the moment. The Patriots need to do a full-scale makeover of that group this offseason. But Douglas has been very impressive this season. He looks like the Patriots slot receiver of the present and the future. So it's going to be exciting to watch how he can develop over the rest of the season and moving forward. My other up, Jelani Tavai. He's in the middle of a career year. He's really played well for the Patriots defense. He played well last year too, but he's really taken his game to another level. He was on the scene of another turnover in this game, tipped a Gardner Minshew pass that resulted in a Miles Bryant interception. Seems like almost every Patriots takeaway so far this year has somehow involved either Jelani Tavai or Jabril Peppers. And Tavai definitely I think he handled his larger role well too in this game with Jawan Bentley out. He's really emerged as a valuable guy for that Patriots defense. And it's a Patriots defense that played well in this game too. They let up some kind of scramble play, big completions and some 3rd down conversions, but they only allowed 1 touchdown, or their only touchdown allowed was on that first Colts series, only a field goal. After that, you play that well on defense, you should be able to win pretty much every game you play. My 2 down.
Real quick, to that end, to your point, because Mike Reese from ESPN tweeted this morning, or posted it on X. Sunday was the first Patriots loss when allowing 10 or fewer points since September 23rd of 2001. So yes, you should win that game.
I'm pretty sure, was that the the Bledsoe injury game? I think it was. That must have been the Jets game that year. Yeah. So very long time since the Patriots lost a game like that. My 2 down, Jack Jones, who we already touched on earlier, so I won't spend too much time on him. Only 10 snaps in this game, which proved to be his final game.
It was the Bledsoe game, by the way.
Yes. See, that's it. There have been a lot of those stats this season that you just see and you're like, wow, like how times have changed for this franchise. My other down, Tyquan Thornton, another 2022 Patriots draft pick, was active for this game, did not play a snap. It was the second time in the last 3 weeks that he did not play a snap because he was a healthy scratch 3 weeks ago, I believe, or 2 weeks. Oh, it was for the Miami game. So 2 weeks ago, has essentially been a complete non-factor for the Patriots offense. Only has 3 catches since his return from injured reserve, has only played 15 total snaps over the last 4 weeks, even though the Patriots have had some high profile injuries in that receiver room. He has just not worked out. He looks like a major draft bust so far, and he hasn't even really shown much potential for changing that. So, I mean, we'll see if he can produce anything for this team over the final 7 or so weeks of the season, but he seems to be the man at the bottom of one of the NFL's single worst receiving core right now, which is not where you want to be when you take a guy with the trade up to take a guy with the 50th overall pick just 1 year ago. Again, as I mentioned before, that 2022 Patriots draft just looks like a complete and total dumpster fire at this point.
Yeah, no, not good at all from Tyquan Thornton. Well, I think it's 15 snaps in the last 4 games for him.
Yep.
So that's not great. I was looking up that Tom Brady stat or the Drew Bledsoe stat, so I kind of zoned out. Did you have another down?
Oh no, I said my other one was Jack Jones, who I already
Okay.
touched on earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was deep in reference, not really listening to what you said. Yeah. No. I mean, I think obviously Tyquan Thornton. I mean, I think there will be some people that say release him this offseason, trade whatever. I think the best course of action is, whatever they do in the offseason to overhaul the offense. Cross your fingers and hope that he figures it out. I mean, the Patriots brought back N'Keal Harry for that third training camp, obviously wound up trading him, but I don't think you can just give up yet. Because it's nobody else in the league probably wants him anyway. So just what does it hurt? Bring him back, see if he catches fire next offseason, and then cut him at the end of camp if you need to. But yeah, obviously hugely disappointing for the Patriots and Tyquan Thornton. Before we get out of here, I want to quickly touch on the draft situation. And it is complex. And it's not too early to be talking about this stuff. But there are some caveats that get thrown in. So first of all, the Patriots, with everything happening this week, and that includes the Buffalo Bills losing last night, that did help the Patriots from a strength of schedule standpoint. The Patriots currently have the number 3 pick in the draft, which is huge because I think most people agree this draft is all about Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr. If you don't get one of those guys, you're kind of in a no man's land where you're like, do we take someone? Do we trade? What do we do there? Do we find a way to trade up? So they're in third right now at 2-8. The Giants are in second, also at 2-8. So obviously that game after the bye will have huge implications for both teams. The Cardinals are fourth at 2-8, and then the Bears are at 3-7. The Panthers have the first overall pick at 1-8, but that goes to the Chicago Bears. So right now, I think it looks like Carolina is the favorite to land that first pick. You never know what can happen. Maybe they figure it out. But the real variable here going forward is the tiebreaker, which is, we don't usually talk about this as far with the Patriots in terms of strength of schedule tiebreakers or draft picks. But when you're at the top of the board, this stuff does matter. And currently the Patriots have a 538 opponent's winning percentage, with the Cardinals having a 544. Now, if you follow the stuff on Tankathon, the thing you need to realize is, that strength of schedule number includes all the current records for all 17 opponents on the schedule. This isn't just like who are the teams the Patriots play through 10 weeks and what are those combined winning percentages. So that number, that 538, includes the record of the Kansas City Chiefs, who the Patriots play later in the season. So don't read too much into that number, but it is obviously one to keep track of as we go forward. And I think the real variable here for the Patriots is the Cardinals, who have one of the toughest schedules remaining in the league, but they just got Kyler Murray back. If Kyler Murray helps the Cardinals win a few of those games, that obviously is great news for the Patriots because it greatly increases their chances of finishing in the top 3, which again would be huge. But, just looking at it right now, the Patriots only have 2 wins. Some of these other teams, I think, are competent enough to win a few more, whether you're talking about the Bears at 3-7, the Packers, Rams, and Titans, who all are 3-6. I think the Patriots are decidedly worse than those teams. So I think they should finish with a top 5 pick. The question is going to be is what happens with Arizona, Chicago, and again, who loses that Giants game?
Yeah, I think from everything that we've heard so far, obviously a lot can change between now and the draft, but it does seem likely that those top 2 picks are going to be Caleb Williams and Drake May in some order. I know there are some people that have there's been a groundswell for May potentially going over Caleb Williams. Again, long way to go. We'll see how that all shakes out. But basically every team in that bottom 10 that you just rattled off is going to need a quarterback or could need a quarterback in this draft because the Panthers, who just drafted Bryce Young first overall, they do not have their first round pick. So that goes to the Bears. So you're probably going to either need to get into one of those top 2 spots or hope that the Bears get both of those top 2 spots and then try to wrangle a trade into the number 2 spot, which is going to be very, very expensive this year, you would imagine, because there are going to be a lot of teams that are angling for one of those 2 quarterbacks. And then if you don't, you have Marvin Harrison. There are a couple really high-end tackles that are going to be in the draft. The Patriots obviously have a need at tackle as well, even though it would not be the nearly as sexy of a pick as a quarterback or a wide receiver. But yeah, it's still a little bizarre that we're talking about Patriots draft positioning and it's not even Thanksgiving yet. But I mean, this is really what you have to look forward to as a Patriots fan right now. Patriots certainly have a number of holes that can be patched with those one of those top draft picks. And it's a lot easier to find especially a quarterback, and especially this year, it's a lot easier to find a really, really high end player if you're picking 1 or picking 2 than if you fall to 7 or 8 by winning a couple games down the stretch here. Then you're, I don't know. It seems like this season is inevitably going to end with the Patriots finishing with the 7th overall pick and taking a defensive end. But that certainly would not be the preferred method for starting this rebuild here.
Yeah, no, and again, there are only 7 games left, so we're getting close here. Like if the Patriots, we'll see what happens against the Giants, but if they then go lose to the Chargers and they lose to the Chiefs, figure they probably still lose to the Bills on the road. Aaron Rodgers might be back for that Jets game. I mean, it's on the table here, and it'll be obviously a depressing season that they have, but if they finish with the top 3 pick, or more importantly, a top 2, that's gonna change the conversation around here quite a bit. So we'll have to see what happens. But for now,
that Giants game, by the way, is going to be so bad next week. That has potential to be like the single worst game in the NFL all season.
Yeah, I can't believe we have to watch it. Yeah. So, but for now, the Patriots are on their bye week. I think I speak for all of us in saying it's going to be nice not having to watch this football team this weekend and give our brains a break. But we'll pick up with you on the other side of the bye week preview, Patriots, Giants. See if there's any other stuff to talk about with Mac Jones and the quarterback situation. You can follow Zach on the X platform at Zach Cox NESN. You can follow me at Randall, and you can follow all of NESN's Patriots coverage at NESN.com.